Greetings, this is Jeff Phillips-Wefferson here at the beautiful Casuarina She-Oak-Nematon on the Big Island with Linda Faye Kroll. We're here to film an interview with her, part 2, but also with my beautiful family of kaitiaki, fellow being life forms. Teddy, Wally, Ruby Ann, Big Teddy, Heidi, Phil, Huckleberry, and our distant friends, Snoocha and Freddie the Frog. We might get them to join us by proxy. But we're going to be talking about the impact of Rimpac, the largest naval war game in the world that's going to be happening in all the waters around these islands in June. This is Ruby Ann. Ruby Ann, thank you for taking the time to share with us. Weffiups, we can't tell you how sad we are to what's going to be happening with the Rim of the Pacific Naval War Games coming up in June. The whole waters around this island's Hawaii is going to get blown up by all the weapon systems in the world. And over 40 different countries is going to have their warships here. And we're just really scared for what's going to happen with our family and everybody in the ocean. All our different family here today will tell us about different aspects that might happen to them and our family that we love. But our friend Terry Lilly on Kauai, who you've interviewed many times on your show, he said that these ships called destroyers, they called them that because everywhere they go, everything dies. And so that's kind of what the military does. Stuart Simonson said the military itself is an environmental disaster. So we want to thank Linda Faye for all her beautiful work about the depleted uranium and all her beautiful work and her activism, and you too, Weffiups. Well, thank you, Ruby Ann. I apologize on behalf of my species to all the life forms on Mother Earth. This is Wally Kasatka. Kasatka is the Russian word for orca, or what we... Wally, why do we call you and your family killer whales? Oh, well, Weffiups, that's a very sad mistake. That we don't know why you call us that either, because we're not killers anymore. We're, in fact, less killers than Homo sapiens, man the wise. He's the most effective killer on the planet. But we actually have, in the orca kingdom, we have two tribes. We have the ones of us that eat salmon only, and the ones of us that'll eat anything, including other whales and seals and other things like that. But the vast majority of us only eat salmon, and I myself, as you know, have become a vegetarian ever since being with you. I like seaweeds and vegetables and dal. Your ultra dal's my favorite. I'm the only orca in the world that's a vegetarian. But Wally, so are you worried about what's going to happen with Rimpac? Oh my God, Weffiups, we just can't believe that this goes on and that people don't pay any more attention to it. It's like a form of, they call it a war game, but it's not a game. It's just the same as war, except that it just blows everybody up. The only thing is they're not blowing each other up. So Wally, in other words, what you're saying is it's kind of an oxymoron to call it a game, because it's actually the same as if actual war was being waged against everybody in the ocean. Exactly, that's exactly what it's going to be, and people just don't understand what it sounds like for us down there with all those noises. Well, Wally, in my blog post yesterday, I tried to speculate on what the experience of whales and dolphins down in the ocean might be when all these technologies are going off, like the seismic testing and the low-frequency sonar, and now the new agenda where they're going to use multi-beam sonar to map the bottom of the ocean for deep seabed mining and all these invasive technologies. And it's horrific, isn't it? Absolutely. And Jeff, your metaphor of being like, if a person, people mainly use his light and vision for seeing, where we, as in the whales in the ocean, we use sound where there's no light. And so you said the equivalent of, imagine if a person was in the dark and saw fireworks and visual explosions and flash bulbs and flashing lights from police cars all the time. Well, yes, and that must be what the acoustic equivalent must be for you down in the ocean. That's exactly right. It's like we're blinded and we can't communicate, and it's quite scary. Well, I had a weird experience last week It was the first, whatever day it was, the first Monday of the month, and all of a sudden the loudest siren I've ever heard started going off. And it just kept going, and it was so loud. I've never been around anything that loud, and I heard all these beat weird frequencies in my ear, and I couldn't tell what direction it was coming from, and it made me almost start to panic, partly because I went like, oh my God, what if a tsunami's actually coming? But it was actually a test, because after like about 30 seconds it quit. But I remember the feeling of panic and how I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't know when it was going to stop, and it was so loud, and it was very disorienting. Oh my God, well see, but that's exactly what happens to all the whales and dolphins whenever any of these loud sources of noise happens in the ocean. Wally, I'm just so sad. I apologize on behalf of my species, I can't call them my species, even though my species likes to refer to Mother Earth as our planet, but I really don't think that's how it is. But we have a lot to answer for, don't we? Wefferyups, we knows there's lots of good people and we loves you, but yes, you're right, your species is running amok off the rail, and we just have to find a solution for all this somehow. Wally? Yes, Wefferyups? I love you. We love you too, Wefferyups. This is Huckleberry, the newest member of our family. I found him laying by the side of the road in New Zealand when I was bicycling, and I rescued him. And first, he couldn't remember his last name, so I called him Huckleberry Hound-Dog in honor of the cartoon. But then when we watched one last week, neither one of us liked Huckleberry Hound-Dog's voice, and so now I'm calling him Huckleberry Finn in honor of the companion of Tom Sawyer in the Mark Twain mythology. But Huckleberry, thank you for joining us on this interview. Wefferyups, I really want to thank you for rescuing me by the side of the road. And that was beautiful. I've been loving being part of your family here and coming up to Hawaii. It's really, really, really nice. Well, Huckleberry, I know you don't spend much time underwater like Ruby Ann and Wally do, but you, being a dog, you have very sensitive hearing. Yes, our hearing is very sensitive. We hear all the sounds you hear, but we hear lots of high frequencies too, up into the range of the whales and dolphins. Well, so are you worried about the Rimpac war games that's going to be happening? Absolutely. I'm just so sad for all of the whale and dolphin families and all the fish and everybody that lives in the ocean, what they're going to have to put up with. But we're actually going to be hearing it up here on the Earth too. I know. We'll hear the explosions, and it could be because of the militarized zone all around these islands. All these explosions could be everywhere. Oh my God, I'm just so worried about it. Wefferyups, what's actually going to happen? I don't know. I don't think there's any way we can stop it. But if all the good people, of which there's a lot, if everybody puts all their best time and energy into creating awareness and lessens their own contribution to all the damage that's happening, we won't be able to stop what's going to happen when Mother Earth has to do some house cleaning, but we can make the house cleaning less severe for all the innocent beings on the planet. Wefferyups, you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the Hopi prophecy that Thomas Banyaka spoke about. Well, that's interesting you should say that, because that's exactly who I learned it from. Oh yes, but you talked about it on your radio show before, because you was at Big Mountain in Arizona in 1986 when the Chernobyl meltdown happened. That's exactly right, and that's very brilliant of you to remember that. Oh, but that's because I have a good memory. I'm a memory dog. Woof, 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 woof. Huckleberry. This is Teddy. He's my original family member. My former partner, Elizabeth, rescued Teddy from an op shop in Albany, Western Australia in 2009. And the only family member we had at that time was, who's one of Teddy's very best friends. His name is Snoocha, the orange bunny rabbit. And so for a long time we had Snoocha and Teddy. And Teddy, we figured out he's a Tambo Teddy from New South Wales, Australia, and he's supposed to be a koala bear crossed with a sheep. Oh, but Wefferyups, Ups. I am, but I'm actually shaped like a tooth, as you can see. I'm a koala bear crossed with a sheep and a tooth, and I'm quite flat. If I turn sideways, I disappear. But Teddy, now, you guys and all our family, we've been interviewed. You've been interviewed on my radio show a couple of times about animal rights. Oh yes, that's correct. And we did these interviews sitting beneath our favorite tree in the whole world. Her name's Grandmother Pahudakawa on Great Barrier Island, or Aotea. We've camped out beneath her, and she... Can you do an impression of her voice?
Well, Wefferson family, this is Grandmother Pahudakawa. I've been listening in to everything that you do because you honor me when you burn sage every day and honor the kingdom of the trees, and the kingdom of the trees are equally concerned about what's happening with Rimpac.
Oh, that was Grandmother Pahudakawa spoke to us, all creatures. Oh. Well, that's very exciting because I know that trees are telepathic, just like all of us are supposed to be, except a lot of us have forgotten. Oh, but not us. We still know. We know what you're thinking all the time. Well, that's really good. Well, do animals actually have any rights? Well, it sounds good on paper, but when it really comes down to it, no, we have almost no rights. Because people like to think that you do, but did any animal ever successfully defend himself in court? No, that's never happened, and even if it did, I don't know what would happen. Well, I remember in India, there was this thing on Facebook a couple of years ago that the government of India gave personhood to dolphins. But that wasn't really true, was it? No, it wasn't really true, but even if it did, it could work, it could backfire, because if they had the same rights as a person, then they could be taxed, and they could be required to go to jury duty and get drafted into the army. Exactly. So, in other words, it's great that the animals haven't been granted the rights of people, except for when whales and dolphins strand on the beach. Oh my God, there's been so much of that happening lately, and that relates to what could happen from Rimpac. And the really sad part is that the ones we see on the beach is probably only about less than 10% of the total amount. Exactly, that's what our friends at Stranded No More said. And it's just, and because, well, the dichotomy between, if we was walking on the beach and saw a person that washed up on the beach, they would fly in a helicopter and put him in an ambulance and take him to the nearest medical facility, and they would be given the utmost care. Even if it was a poor person with no insurance, their life would still be highly valued, and they would be well taken care of until they got well. But with whales and dolphins, that doesn't happen. No, not at all. Sometimes they can be rescued and refloated, but a lot of times this makes us sadder than anything in the world. A perfectly healthy whale and dolphin still laying there. They come up with a gun and shoot him in the head. That makes me cry sometimes, because it's unbelievable, because if we humans love to think of the whales and dolphins as fellow beings that are highly intelligent, this is like the mainstream story. But yet when it comes to how we treat them whenever they're in pain and suffering on the beach, we don't treat them like people at all. No. And we don't know what to think about all this. Well, Teddy, thank you for sharing all this. Oh, I want to thank you also for taking us to the painted church and meeting the beautiful guardian angel there. We got these St. Francis of Assisi. We're pets of St. Francis. Thank you, Teddy. Oh, thank you, Jeffrey. Heidi, I didn't know you were a New Age guru. Oh, I just learned that from all these people around here. They say all the time. Well, Heidi, what does that mean? I don't know. But you're a smart blonde. Oh, but that's right. I'm the smartest blonde you ever met. Shall I tell you some blonde jokes? Well, sure, tell us one. What does a blonde say when she thinks she's pregnant? I know the answer to that one. Is it mine? Oh, that's funny. But Heidi, we have to talk about what's happening with the relationship between humanity and all the rest of the animal kingdom. Well, Jeffrey, that's very interesting because implicit in your statement is that humans are animals. Well, exactly. What else could we be? Like, people that think we are animals are the same people like in New Zealand. They think that fish isn't meat. Well, but what would it be, a vegetable? Exactly. That's what people in New Zealand think. They go, I'm a vegetarian, but I eat fish. And I go like, oh, well, that makes sense. That must be the same people that thinks eggs belong in the dairy case. That's true. It's a little bit of the insanity of humanity. Exactly. Well, we're very lucky because even though I'm kind of like part human and part creature. Exactly. So, but you've been hanging out with all the family here, with Huckleberry and Teddy and Big Teddy and Felicity and Wally and Ruby Ann. So you've actually probably come to think like they do. Oh, absolutely. That's why I wanted to contribute my part too as a smart blonde to the insights about the Rimpac. Well, what would you say the main thing that we should be aware of is? Well, as a smart blonde, I would say that the main thing is to be aware of, use this as a way to create awareness about the whole global military industrial complex, and how big it is and how much of an energy and resource vampire it is. Oh. Do you think people are ready to hear that? Well, of course they are. Yes, but most people are brainwashed by the mass media to think that all things military are noble and good and people are serving their country and God, and that they're doing their job to defend us against all the evil enemies in the world that want to steal our freedom and keep us from having their oil. Oh, but that's exactly right. But that's the big problem because people don't question that. Well, how can we get people to start questioning the existence of the military? Well, our beautiful hero, Rosalie Bertel, we really wishes we could have met her. She had some beautiful things to say. Exactly. And she emailed me a month before she passed away in 2012 and asked if she could quote part of an article that I wrote in an article she was writing, and it was about how humanity's waging war on the whales and dolphins. And that was one of the highest honors I've ever had. I really wish I could have met her. Oh, well, she's a very beautiful spirit, and we'll see her in heaven someday, and she's a true Rachel Carson of today. Oh my God, you just mentioned my very favorite person of humans that's ever existed, Rachel Carson. Oh, she's one of our greatest heroes too, because she really loved Mother Earth and Mother Ocean, and she not only wrote beautiful poetic stories and books about the ocean, but also about the warning of the poisoning. Exactly. And still to this day, everything she had to say still stands. Oh, absolutely. Well, what do you think Rachel Carson would say about Rimpac? Oh my God. I don't think she knew enough bad words of what she would say to think about that. But it's very sad, isn't it? It is. Weffiups, I just don't understand why your species is blowing up everybody on the whole planet. Well, I don't think we know. Oh my God, it makes me really sad. Can I say again? Mani Padme, Well, and do you know the mantra? I learned how to say it in Sanskrit, but I can't remember, but it means, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be happy. Oh, Weffiups, that's a good one too. I'll learn how to say that in Sanskrit. This is Felicity Fish. And no, it's not Nemo. This is Nemo's cousin. And Felicity was living on Magnetic Island, Queensland a couple years ago, and when I left, I looked and she had stowed away in my drum case. And so Felicity, thank you for joining us here. Well, Phillips, thank you for rescuing me, but I hear a really loud noise. noise? Exactly. It's somebody on a motorcycle here. So it's actually very interesting that we're hearing all this really loud noise, because that's part of what it's going to be like when Rimpac happens. It's going to be like the sounds of a million motorcycles underwater for all the whales and dolphins. And Felicity, are fish affected by sound too? Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh, that's hurting my ear. Oh, oh, oh! Oh, oh, oh! There's 3 of them now. Oh my God! But yeah, this is an example of what it's going to be like when Rimpac happens. Only it's going to be, imagine this only a million times louder. Weffiups, I can't hardly think of what to say. Maybe they'll leave. But it's quite disorienting, isn't it? Oh my God! Weffiups! Oh my God! It's quite horrific, isn't it? Imagine, it's like explosions. Explosions. Oh, 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 oh! My ears are hurting! Oh, 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 oh! Felicity, do you want to wait and finish this when these people have gone? No, I'll keep talking now. But this is a perfect example of what it's going to be like when Rimpac happens. This is Big Teddy. Oh, Weffiups, thank you. I can't believe all this noise. Big Teddy, you're like the most beautifully dressed of all the family. Oh, that's because of your beautiful pendant and my scarf and my little ribbon. But I just can't believe this noise. Does it hurt your ears too? Because you're a bear. Now, what kind of hearing do bears have? We've got really sensitive hearing too. And look, the motorcycles are coming back, but this is nothing compared to what Rimpac's doing. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, oh, oh! We feel sorry for everybody in the ocean whose hearing could be damaged, and I try to distinguish between when does, like, all noise is a sound. But all sounds are not noise. So what is the difference between a sound and a noise? And when does a sound become a noise? And it's not just about how loud it is either. Oh no, it's not just about how loud, but it's about the quality of the sound too, like the grating sound of machines. I don't think our ears was designed to hear metallic sounds like that. Exactly, when you've got a grating sound like the sound of a motor, coupled with extremely high volume levels, that's when real hearing damage can occur. Like what's probably gonna... Uh-oh, that guy fell off his motorcycle. Ha ha. Then the hearing damage in the whales and dolphins could be very severe. Oh. Oh, it's quiet now. But so, Big Teddy, what about the hearing of the mammals on the land? There it goes. It's cranking up again. Maybe that'll happen with Rimpac. The boats will all sink. That was the funniest thing I ever saw. That asshole fell off his motorcycle. That was funny, Big Teddy. But look, I guess we should probably wrap this up. But I wanted to thank all you guys. Ruby Ann and Wally and Huckleberry and Teddy and Heidi and Phil and Big Teddy. I want to thank you all. And I want to apologize on behalf of humanity for all the damage that my species is wreaking on all of our family of life. Weffiups, we all want to thank you and Linda Faye and all the beautiful peoples of One Heart for all the loving work that you're doing. And may Goddess help us all, and may we all live in peace and tranquility. Thank you, Big Teddy, and thanks. We want to create awareness for everybody in the world of Rimpac coming up here in Hawaii in June. It's Rimpac, a grizzly rim of the Pacific war games. Stay tuned for more information later. Thank you. This is Jeff Wefferson, Phillips signing off, being filmed by Linda Faye Kroll. Good day.